Hello everyone and welcome to another video about conversion optimization and growth marketing. Today we're talking about the first 10 seconds after someone visits your website. If you enjoy the video, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and don't forget to ring the alarm bell icon so you get a notification whenever I publish new content for you. 10 seconds are a very short time frame to convince visitors that your website is their best bet. And it's crucial to answer 4 important questions in this time frame. Answering these questions increases the chance that people will stick to your website and consider opening a competitor's website less often. But first, you need to make sure you understand how to take control of where people look when they arrive on your website, because otherwise making the most out of these 10 seconds gets very uncontrollable. So let me show you how to fail at taking control of where people look. The way to mess things up is using stock photography. You might notice in this example that your eyes don't follow the finger of the woman pointing somewhere, but instead your vision goes to her face. So you see her eyes, you see her teeth, you see her skin and everything, but you don't really follow the finger of the woman pointing somewhere. It's the same with almost any of these images. So your vision goes to the faces of the people that you see there and you don't follow their directional cues. I'm going to show you a few examples while I'm talking, just to make you understand that stock photos are nothing that you want on your website. In this image, you might be looking at the woman in the middle. Even if you don't see any faces, your vision might go to the hand itself, but not follow its direction. And I know there are many crazy stock photos in this world. To sum it up, it makes no sense to use people or other directional cues to take control of where people look while skimming your website. If your page's most important components aren't visible enough without someone pointing to it or having a blinking arrow or something like that, you're doing it wrong. You might not have heard of the word skimming, so just to give you a quick explanation, skimming is the moment when someone's visiting your website and they scroll down, they scroll up, and their vision goes through all of your content really quickly. It just takes a few seconds where people decide, is this relevant for me or will I just leave the site? And I think the most important ingredient to control where people look while skimming your website is visual hierarchy. In this example, you will notice that you have no idea where you should look. You don't really have a focus point, you don't really know where your eyes should stick, and it's really hard to understand what they want from you because there is no primary element that you could focus on. So the visual hierarchy here is really messed up. Another example is from my startup, The Digital Family, where we publish weekly videos about online marketing training. And here we try to make everyone focus on the main headline and on the main call to action. And I think this works better than the previous example, though the button copy is still not that good, but we'll talk about that later. There are more ways to control where people look next to the color of an element or the contrast of it. For example, irregularity works really well. If you have a website where everything is following horizontal or vertical lines, having an element there that is irregular, that is a bit rotated, can create contrast, can grab the attention of the visitors who visit your site. Also, size plays a huge role. A typical element that uses size to grab attention is the main headline of your website. It should be bigger text than the other text elements on your page so that people will look at it earlier. Also, changing the shape of an element is a great way to direct the people's attention. You see this a lot on e-commerce websites, in online shops, where you have the product listings and then in the corner, for example, of a product listing, there's a small round circular icon that's saying something like -20% or similar. Another way to take control of where people look is using animation. I will show you 2 examples at the end of this talk to make you understand how you can use this on your website. A simple trick to understand the visual hierarchy of your website is just closing your eyes a bit so your vision gets blurry and you look at your website and see which elements pop out. Those elements are usually the ones that are on top of your visual hierarchy and get seen first when someone visits your website. That's it for the introduction. Now let's talk about the 4 questions that you have to answer after someone visits your website. Question number 1 is, what is this page about? You can answer this question with your main headline. I would say that your main headline is the single most important element and it has to explain what this page is about. It usually doesn't work well if you have a main headline that has to be interpreted and people have to try to figure out what you mean. Instead, you should really get to the point and explain what your page offers. Sometimes it makes sense to add a subheadline because you don't want a main headline that's like 3 or 4 lines long just to explain what you offer there. So it's probably easier to just add a main headline where you can describe further. Also, if you want to test the use of emotions on your website, it can make sense to have a main headline that is explanatory or descriptive, while you have a subheadline that is emotional or vice versa. The word order is very important in the first seconds when people skim your site because they stick to specific parts of your content. Here comes a short test to show you this principle. I will show you 2 example texts for a very short amount of time, and you just have to look at it and remember the 1, 2, or 3 words that you see while the text is visible. Here we go. That's the first one, and here comes the second. So these are the 2 texts that you have just seen. And I'm pretty sure I can tell you where you were looking. So in the first text that you saw, I'm pretty sure it was something of these words. And in the second part that you saw, it was something of these words. Whenever I ask these questions with a real audience in front of me, usually 99% of the people saw something of those parts. The reason behind this is this attention curve. People pay most attention to the first words and second most attention to the last words of a headline or of any line of text. It also works in a vertical space, so if you have a paragraph of text, the first line will get the most attention while people are skimming your website. But it's not just about the word order, there's another principle that you can use to take control of where people look. Same game as before, here's the text. And once again, I'm pretty sure that you saw something of these words. Usually it's one of the bold parts in this text. So it's the word unlimited or it's something of the part painting as a hobby. The reason here is not the word order, but instead it's creating contrast by using bold words. Once again, act like the dog that I showed you earlier. Close your eyes a bit, make your vision blurry and look at this text and you will notice that the elements that I marked here pop out. So they are on top of your visual hierarchy of this paragraph of text. Another important element to answer the question what your page is about is the hero shot. The hero shot is the main image of your page. Usually it shows your product or it shows someone using your product or something similar. Again, be careful what images you use. You might not want to use photos that are not authentic, that are basically stock photos. So always ask yourself, what would I trust? Like what images would I want to see from a company that I want to give my data or my money to? Images like these destroy the trust that people have in you instead of creating some. And what companies also like to use is something like this, where there's a model who's also an operator and she has her whole team in the background while sitting there with her headset, and it's just bullshit. You shouldn't use something like that. Instead, try to show real people who's working for you, who's working in your team. Create trust by showing who you are. And even if you create your own photos, what I would always recommend, you can do it wrong. Like in this example from the company with a funny name, if you speak German, the image has nothing to do with the title of the website. So instead of using images that just show any emotions that have nothing to do with your product, you should use images that explain your product even without text. Square is a perfect example for this. They use imagery on their website that is totally understandable even if you just see the image. Always keep in mind that your brain processes images a lot faster than text, so images play a huge role in the first moments after someone visits your website, where they have to understand if this is relevant for them or not. A small challenge for you: look at your images, remove all the text, and ask someone to explain to you what your offer is. That's a very easy way to find out if your images suck. And the last tip for this question is using a claim or a slogan for your logo. It's not really necessary. It's depending on how well you are known. But if you're not that well known, you get many people to your website that are first-time visitors, it really helps to add a slogan or a claim to your logo that explains what you do. For example, if your company's name isn't self-explanatory, like you have a furniture store and your company's name is something with furniture, that's what people would understand, then it makes sense to add a slogan where it says that you do something with furniture, because the logo is visible on any website wherever people land and they can immediately understand what you offer. Question number 2 that you should answer immediately after someone visits your website is, how is all of this good for me? The most important element to answer this question is the communication of benefits. I would recommend to place your benefits in the top area of your page. I'm not saying that above the fold is that important today, but I will talk about this at the end of this talk. Another question about the placement of your benefits is, how should they look? How should they appear? Sometimes the easiest way is the best. Just put a list there, maybe use check icons instead of bullet icons, and that should do the job in general. Of course, if you want to take an approach that is more design driven, you can even design icons for each benefit or something like that, but it's really up to you. Very often people confuse features with benefits, so they talk about what they do or what they offer instead of talking about how they are helping their customer. It's actually pretty easy to transform your product's features into your product's benefits. And in case you're asking how this works, here's a very easy framework that you can use immediately. And it's as easy as asking, how is this helping my customer? But let me explain in detail. Imagine you're selling chairs, and your chairs have a very ergonomically designed backrest. You might think that this is a benefit, but it's not. It's a feature. Now, if you ask, how is this ergonomically designed backrest helping my customer, you will get your first benefit, which might be something like they have a healthier sitting posture. This is a benefit, it's not a feature. Then you can dig deeper. Just ask, how is this healthier sitting posture helping my customer? And you will get your second benefit, which is they will have less back pain. And you can take another step. Simply ask again, how is less back pain helping my customer? And then you might find something out like they will be more agile or something like that. You can do this with every feature in the world to transform it into benefits. Question number 3 that you should answer when someone visits your website is, can I trust the company behind this website? One thing that I like to recommend is using reviews or ratings to show how other people think about your company. The principle behind this is that if other people think your offer is good, then I would consider using it too. You can display your reviews or your ratings as a numerical value or as a star rating, like you have 4 or 5 stars or something like that. And you can use this to convince people pretty easily. Another, a bit more advanced way is using testimonials. So ask your clients to give you a statement about the work with you or about your offer. How was their experience? A great framework that you can give to your customers who are willing to write your testimonial consists of 3 steps. Step 1 is, how was your experience before using our offer? Step 2, explain the experience while using our offer. And step 3, how has your life changed since you've been using the offer? That's usually a lot better than just getting something like, yeah, everything was satisfying, thanks, bye. Another thing that you can use to build trust is seals and awards that you got from third parties. Depending on the country where you live, you will have a few institutions or media brands that offer seals and awards, if companies are good, obviously. So try to get those and then display them on your website. This can have a huge impact on the decision of your users. However, if the third party that you got the seal or award from is not that known in your country, you should add a short explanation text with 1 or 2 sentences where you say, who is this institution and why is it very cool that we got this? If you have any media coverage on TV or in magazines or even in blogs or something like that, it can make sense to add these brands next to your own logo to make people project the trust that they have in these media brands to your own brand. What usually works best here is that you put a small text next to your logos saying something like as seen on, and you simply add the logos next to it. Also, if you have any clients that allow you to show off their logos, I would recommend you do that, so you make people understand that other clients picked you out of all the offers that are there. However, try not to show only your biggest prestige clients, because this might lead to smaller clients feeling like you're too expensive or they are too small to work with you. The last question for today is, what should I do now and why should I do it? A great position on your website to answer this question is right above your interaction element. Be it a button, be it a form, or whatever people should interact with, have a headline above this that explains what people should do now and why they should do it. The what should be a super easy to understand task that people don't have to interpret. They need to understand what you want from them. And the why should address a personal need or goal and communicate value so people understand what's good about using your offer. I stole this framework from Talia Wolf from uplift.co. So if you find this interesting, check out her website because it's full of great knowledge. Below this call to action headline, you should explain to people what exactly they will get after they convert. I usually just use 1 or 2 bullet points that show what people will get. For example, if you offer free test packages of dog food on your website, explain to the user the package is enough for 3 meals or something like that, and your dog will live a healthier life. Whatever. It has to be individual for your own product. Another important thing is the button copy. Side note, button colors don't matter. Don't test your button colors. If you have anything else that you can test, because you read a lot about conversion optimization in the internet where people say that changing the button color from green to orange led through a conversion increase of 300% or something like that, and that is total bullshit. Button colors don't really matter. It's just important to have contrast to make people see the button very early, and then it's all about the copy that is on the button. And if you did this what plus why that I explained earlier very well, then your why counts as the sole button copy. So for example, you're trying to make people download your free ebook about marketing. Your call to action copy could be something like become a better marketer. The reason behind this is that buttons usually are seen very early because of the contrast that they have. And if you show the goal of the user on the button, then people understand very early what your page is about and where all of this should lead to. So basically that's it for the talk, but let me explain to you two more things before we finish. The first is above the fold still important today? Just to give you a quick explanation, the above the fold area of your website is the part of the website that people see before they scroll. And the part that's below the bottom edge of your browser is called below the fold. So there's this theory that you should put all your important elements of your website above the fold and squeeze them in there. I would say it's not that important, especially on mobile. People are used to just scroll down. They know this from Instagram, from Facebook, from whatever app they are using. People scroll on mobile phones, and it's not even possible to squeeze all of your important content above the fold because the screen is so small. However, on desktop, I would say that above the fold still has some relevance. It's important to have at least your main headline, your benefits, and your first call to action in this area so people understand what the page is about, how it's good for them, and what they should do now before scrolling. Also, you should consider having an element on your website that is breaking the fold. So for example, if you have a form there or any paragraph of text, it should break the fold. It should peek over the bottom edge of your browser so people understand that there is more content hidden below. And the last thing for today I want to talk about is overlays, modal windows, exit intent pop-ups, however you want to call them. So we're talking about the first 10 seconds today, which is a very short time frame. And these modal windows that you can see here usually lead to people not being able to consume your content. So if people come to your site and you throw this big modal window in their faces, you hinder them on consuming your content, which is really bad. And you might know it yourself. You've seen these on many websites, and whenever they appear, it's annoying. So don't do that. Instead, you should use a smarter way to make people sign up for your newsletter or whatever you want to offer in these modal windows. So when people scroll down, it can make sense to have a small slide in appear at the bottom right or bottom left of your website, and people will give these items almost the same attention as if they were appearing on your screen, but you don't annoy people. The reason behind this is a part of the human brain that's called the reptilian brain. Scientists say it's like 500 million years old, and it's there for the basic things like functionality of organs, being able to walk, and the recognition of dangers. And this is what counts here. So if people are looking at your content on the left side and then out of their focus something appears, something animated, then it's impossible to ignore this. So they will pay attention to this element, and it's a much more elegant way to make people look to a specific item on your website. So that's it for today. I hope you learned a bit, and if you did so, please hit the like button below this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the alarm icon so you get a notification whenever I publish new content, and share this with your friends if you want to help me and your friends out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.